Welcome to Cage Minds MMA show. I'm Micah Frankel. The website is cageminds.com and you can pick up the apparel at nmproshop.com. A lot to get to today. The Contender Series this past week, the main event saw AJ Dobson defeat Hasim Arakan by submission in the first round, doing it by rear naked choke. In all, Dana White again feeling generous, handing out 4 contracts. Victor Martinez, Clayton Rodriguez, Michael Morales, and AJ Dobson, all new to the UFC roster. Friday night on UFC Fight Pass, there was LFA 115 from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Light heavyweight title was vacant, and it was up for grabs in the main event as Silveira taking on T. Cummings. Both guys heading on in unbeaten, and it was T. Cummings first with the T kick up the middle. Silveira answers back with a head kick up high. Cummings goes down. The ground and pound is quick. The ref jumps in, and the finish takes just 49 seconds. Silveira says that his focus is now on dropping down to 185, wanting to become the second LFA champ, holding simultaneous 2 division championships, and then after getting that 185 title, wants to move on to the next echelon of his career. The co-main event again ended quickly, violently, but in controversial fashion. Jordan Hinderman defeats Chad Johnson in just 25 seconds, but it's by disqualification. Johnson catches a Hinderman kick, follows the takedown, pushes him to the ground, and then as he comes in for the ground and pound, there's a soccer kick that thankfully is detected, and the TKO is nullified. Hinderman, will beat up and bloodied, gets the victory rightfully. Lucas Clay runs his record to 8-1. A Darce choke submission in the second round. Great grappling throughout the entire contest. And talk about great grappling. Edwin Cooper Jr. makes it 3 in a row. And this was 2 30-25s and a 30-24. Absolute domination of Andrew Johnson. Cooper showed us the wrestling, showed us great striking in the clinch in this one. One championship. That was actually Friday morning. I skipped over it. My bad. But we have a new 170-pound or lightweight champion there in one as Rayun OK gets the decision nod over Christian Lee. Lee wants a rematch. The internet was above. Believe me that we'll see this one run back. And Joshua Pacquiao put a stamp on his trilogy and is definitely the best strawweight male in the world. That leads us to talking about the UFC. UFC 266, the featherweight championship of the world on the line. Alexander Volkanovski, Brian Ortega get it going early after the amazing entrance by Ortega, the EDM feeling, the whole purge parody, all that going on. Felt like a crowning moment, felt like a big spectacle going on. Would the Crown Prince be able to assume the throne? It was the tactician of an Aussie once again outworking his opponent, doing it early, doing it well, being able to offer just more looks and more counters than Ortega was prepared to deal with. Now Ortega, he was landing his own shots and he was landing some very well. But there was no question that the pace, the pressure, and the volume was all coming from Volkanovski, at least with the effective strikes. Into the third round, where Ortega, a guy that finds his moments, and he's found his moments in so many fights. He almost had his moment. He almost had his moment in a couple different ways. The guillotine mounted, arms trapped, looked like the legs were trapped. It looked like Volkanovski just flopping around like a fish. The determination, the tenacity to be able to escape that submission. I don't know if anybody else in the world is able to do what Volkanovski does there. To fight right back into the dangerous guard of Ortega, once free, on top, smashing to get stuck in a triangle. fight his way out of that and still have to fight out of what looked to be a Darce choke attempt, Volkanovski survived some nasty positions and then laid thunderous ground and pound down on Ortega that nearly got the finish in the third round, and had the coaches having to scrape Brian Ortega's body off the canvas after the third round. The fourth round, again a huge one for the champion. Into the fifth round, Brian Ortega showing the championship medal, showing the resiliency and the tenacity that people love about him. The card stacked against him, the deck definitely against him. And what did he do? He came out and had his best round of the fight, pushed forward, was able to engage. Now at some point it also looked like Volkanovski was assured the victory and coasting on that aspect, doing enough to still keep it competitive, but not putting more of a beating on a Brian Ortega that he had just started for 20 minutes in a row. The cards do go that fashion. You even get a 10-8. You get a 50-44. You get a 49-46. You get a unanimous decision for and still champion Alexander Volkanovski. The Great now even passes Conor McGregor for total title defenses. Just throwing that out there, people. It may not be the way you wanted to see it, but it's been effective. It's been damaging. It's been entertaining. Alexander Volkanovski, put some respect on his name. The champ is right there now in the mix for talking about the greatest featherweights of all time. Talking about greats, Valentina Shevchenko continues her run of dominance at 125 pounds, putting a beating on Lauren Murphy. The body kick was looking great. The left kick, the right hook, they were both just damaging weapons. Choose your poison. Murphy tried to get stuff done, but was unable to. Once on the inside, getting tripped and thrown down to the ground repeatedly. The fourth round is where we finally see the end come, running right into a right hook. Then the left head kick comes up, swarming against the cage. Shevchenko finishes Murphy on the ground with the TKO, ground and pounding from half guard. It's now 6 title defenses. It's 8-0 at 125. I want to see the reign of destruction continue. Jumped ahead, but the UFC has announced Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez, November 13th, featherweight 5-round main event. Normally, we save the news for a little bit further down the show, but that matchup will give us the number 1 contender for Alexander Volkanovski, just in case you wanted to know where a Volkan goes from here. Ortega, there's Josh Emmett, there's Calvin Kattar. There is a ton of challengers for Brian Ortega at 145. Why right now have to pencil him in against a specific one? No need to do that, no need to rush. Valentina Shevchenko, I don't know. Viviana Araujo, you look at her at the number 7 contender, and she may be the highest ranked person that hasn't done this dance. And if Valentina wants to just keep defending the title, Viviana is who I think may have earned that opportunity. We'll talk about another fighter in a moment who earns that opportunity, but the other option for Valentina is going back to 135 for another dance with Amanda Nunes. Nunes, as we know, is about to defend the 35 title against Juliana Pena. Holly Holm has won 2 in a row, and it could be 3 if she is able to get a victory October 16th. That leaves more of a clouded picture at 135 pounds than we've had before if Valentina decides that she wants to make a march, make a statement, and demand that trilogy fight and say the first fight was not great, the second fight was close, I want a third crack at Amanda. If not, just keep on rolling with dominance. My vote, I'd like to see keep on rolling with the dominance. The feature fight, the people's main event, Robbie Lawler, Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz with a fast start, looking crisp early. The boxing, the hands, it's something you've never had to worry about. But this fight, as we saw on the scale, as we saw it of 185-pound Diaz, was not the in-shape, fit triathlete that some had seen across Instagram earlier in the year. The toll of the Robbie Lawler pressure and power punches would wear on Diaz, not to mention showing a vulnerability, getting hit with the left hooks to the body, not to mention the left kick to the body. Attacking that liver was what the Ruthless One was doing, to the point where at third round, overhand right, sits Diaz down, Lawler backs off, and Diaz says, "I've had enough." Don't know what your feeling is across the internet. It's hard to judge a guy that's been through so many wars. Over 40 fights in his career, a former Strikeforce champion, a legend in the fight game. Nick Diaz went out there, put on a show, and you could though feel he wasn't engaged, he wasn't into it, and it just feels, from my opinion, that the best thing for his mental health would not be continuing combat sports. Doesn't seem that that's what makes him the happiest. Those triathlon photos he looked a lot more into, where this was the exact fight that got Robbie Lawler motivated again. 17 years later, he gets his revenge. It ends a 4-fight skid. It stops the bleeding. And maybe this hopes and helps Robbie Lawler to rejuvenate this run at 170 pounds, because he was dangerously close to looking on the outside in of the company again. Curtis Blades, back in the win column, flat out wrestles, bulldozes, but did a very good job of setting up the takedowns. Told you this was going to test Jair Rosenstruck's takedown defense for the first time in the UFC, and it was not there. He was not up for the challenge. Dominant win by Curtis Blades, who definitely needed it. Jessica Andrade, the power punching was too much for Cynthia Calvillo to handle. While Calvillo, her striking looked crisp, clean, the best it ever had. It was precise. But it's just not the same power as the bulldozer, as Jessica Andrade. Power puncher at 135, a destroyer here at 125, and according to Andrade, her eyes are set on going back to 115. She wants another opportunity at Zhang Weili. She wants another opportunity at Rose Namajunas. Well, my opinion is she would be behind Carla Esparza in that rankings and in that order at 125 pounds. Andrade, in my opinion, should give another go at Valentina. The UFC should insist on her giving another go at this title run at 125. I thought that Andrade looked like she had a granite chin and 2 hands of stone. I want to see more of her as a flyweight. On the prelims, Marlon Moraes somehow wins and loses, because I swear the left hook, the right uppercuts, they're catching Merab Dvalishvili. He has the knockdown. I swear there was a knockout in there. But Dvalishvili does enough to keep moving, to keep fighting, quite possibly on autopilot. Once Moraes punches himself out, Dvalishvili is able to get the takedown, gets his knockout in the first round. After we go to the stools, obviously a gassed and done Moraes has little to offer in the second round, getting taken down, getting pounded on, and then getting pounded out. Merab Dvalishvili with the biggest win of his career, and unfortunately it looks like the trajectory for Marlon Moraes is downhill. Moraes, with so much promise coming over from the WSOF as the bantamweight champion, looked to be right there on the cusp when he had Henry Cejudo on one leg. But Cejudo's knockout seems to have broken the chin of a warrior that went through so many tough battles. Merab Dvalishvili moving up, and unfortunately Marlon Moraes moving down. Just getting to the country shortly before weigh-ins due to visa issues, Dan Hooker puts on a show against Nasrat Haqparast. Both guys, those international issues. Hooker coming from New Zealand and Haqparast coming from Germany. It took great powers for them to be able to make this fight date. And Dan Hooker moved well, showed off his jab, fought into the clinch, stuck Haqparast with knees, even got the takedown, and runs the cards all across the board, getting a 30-26 and 2 30-27s. Hooker still proving where he belongs in that top 10. Chris Daukaus makes it 5 in a row, and all 5 have been knockouts. This is the first one coming in the second round. I got the other 4 done in the first, taking out Shamil Abdurrahimov. But he basically got the knockout in the first round, sitting Abdurrahimov down with a nasty left hook. If the ref would have ran in, no arguments. Second round, it's the right hook, some elbows on the ground that finally gets the stoppage. Daukaus should jump up to number 7. The Philadelphia police officer, who is now taking time off to fully focus on his MMA career, is somebody to keep an eye on. Talking about the flyweight division, Talia Santos puts on a show. Her striking looked crisp. Her grappling, surprisingly great. 18-1 and a dominant 30-27 across the board, beating Roxanne Modafferi. Maybe there's more than one contender in the lurking for Valentina Shevchenko. Catalita Santos, Viviana Araujo, or maybe we give Jessica Andrade another try. So there's a trio of Brazilians at this point that have my attention right there at 125 pounds and could give a champ the run for their money. Jalen Turner, Uros Medic, that was my highlighted prelim, and it was the body shots of Turner that then got swarming action to the ground. Ground and pound, flattens out, takes the back, and sinks in the rear naked choke to stop Uros Medic. Nick Maximov defeats short notice opponent Cody Brundage on the strength of early wrestling, getting the takedowns in the first and second round. Brundage Willie won the striking and was able to get some great positions on the ground. Couldn't find that finish in the third, but showed some tenacity. Matt Semmelsberger, the fastest finish of the night. The kid has power in his hands. He went with a left jab to the body. The second punch he threw was a right cross. It connects and flattens Martin Sano. And opening up the night, Jonathan Pierce gets on the back of Omar Morales. And a really big question, I don't know where his mind went. Instead of fighting the hands as the choke is being set in, Morales tried to tripod up and fight the position. Unfortunately there, had to tap. UFC 266, it delivered. Turn their attention over to the headlines. A ton of UFC fight announcements to mention. Leandro Santos is out, and Alexander Hernandez will be facing Mike Bredin at UFC Fight Night on October 2nd. Diego Ferreira is out, and Grant Dawson will now face Rick Glenn at the UFC Fight Night on October 23rd. Gabe Green out. Dwight Grant will now face Francisco Trinaldo October 23rd. And a bunch of announcements for UFC 267 in Abu Dhabi on October 30th. Aljamain Sterling has been forced to pull out of defending his bantamweight title against Peter Yan, and reports are saying that Yan will remain on the card in an interim bantamweight title fight, opponent to be named. Also, there's speculation that a leg injury may stop Rafael Dos Anjos from facing Islam Makhachev, but Dos Anjos is still hopeful the fight will go on. And Alexio De Serico is out. Roman Kopylov jumps in to welcome Contender Series alum Albert Duev to the octagon in his official debut. In heavyweight action, John Vellante is going to face Chris Barnett at UFC 268 on November 8th. Song Yadong versus Julio Arce, a bantamweight bout, added to the fight night on November 13th. Pat Sabatini versus Gavin Tucker, featherweight action, added to the November 20th fight night. Jose Aldo versus Rob Font, top-ranked bantamweights, in the works to headline the December 4th fight night, which also has confirmed the additions of Matt Brown versus Brian Barberina at welterweight and Zuglamalov versus Manal Camp at flyweight. Justin Tafa is going to face Henry Hunsucker in a heavyweight collision at the fight night on December 18th. And the UFC is already booking for 2022. Bill Algerio and Joanderson Brito will be facing off January 15th. That card also seeing Contender Series alum Clayton Rodriguez versus Zaruk Adashev at flyweight. So it was a ton of announcements as we head into another busy week. This week we have the Contender Series. That's tonight, and it's a full card of international flavor. Main event light heavyweights, Lucas Sadowski from Poland, 8-0 with 5 knockouts, taking on Igor Petryan, 19-2 from the Ukraine, 8 knockouts, 6 submissions, a 14-fight win streak. Co-main event light heavyweights, you'll have the Netherlands, Manel Jennings, who missed weight, taking on Scotland's Chris Dunn. The Dutchman is 7-0, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions, while the Scottish fighter, a Bellator vet with a 100% finishing rate, 6 of his 7 wins come by knockout. Canadian Aaron Jeffrey will be taking on Brazilian Caio Brahalo. Brahalo is on a 5-fight win streak, 8-1, 6 finishes. Jeffrey, 4-fight win streak. After his first attempt to get a contract on the Contender Series did not go as planned. He has also picked up a CFFC championship in his last fight. Unbeaten fighters meet in lightweight action as Brazil's Lucas Almeida, 12-0, 8 knockouts, 4 submissions, takes on Mexico's Daniel Zellhuber. Zellhuber, 7 knockouts, 2 submissions. And then Russia's Razan Kuniev, who's 10-2-1, 7-fight win streak, 4 knockouts and a submission, faces Brazil's Idav Santos, 12-2, 8 knockouts, 4 submissions. International flavor, tons of finishers tonight on the Contender Series. This week, Bellator starts their trip around the world. Bellator London, it's Bellator 267 from the SSE Arena. The main event, it's the long-anticipated welterweight rematch. Douglas Lima against Michael Venom Page. Lima, 32-9, 16 knockouts, 10 submissions, but only 1 win and 2 losses in the 3 fights since these two first met. But it's been against top-flight competition, beating Rory McDonald to capture the Bellator welterweight title, losing to Gegard Mousasi up at 185 pounds, and then losing the title of the welterweight title to Yaroslav Amaslov. Elite competition will Michael Venom Page, a 5-fight win streak. The guy's 19-1, 12 knockouts, 3 submissions. Those 5 wins, 4 by knockout. Derek Anderson, the most well-known name of the bunch, though. Michael Page needs this win. He needs this rematch after having been knocked out in their first meeting. It would be the most credible win on his resume and would actually be the fight to finally propel Page into title contention, even though I believe that Jason Jackson has earned that right. Co-main event, Leah McCourt, a 5-fight win streak, 5-1 overall, takes on Jessica Borga. Borga, 3-3, 1-1 so far in Bellator. The fight I like most, besides that main event on the main card, Robert Whiteford, 16-4, taking on Andrew Fisher, 18-1. Both guys, 4-fight win streaks. Both guys can finish on the ground. That one should be a lot of fun. There's an 8-fight prelim card. The 2 fights that I'm highlighting, the feature prelim, a welterweight bout, Lewis Long, 18-6. He's won 3 of his last 4, all by submission, taking on Uros Jisic, 11-1. He's won 6 of his last 7. And then opening up the card, also got to highlight this one at 135 pounds, Kursed Kakarov, 7-0 versus Mike Ekadeov. Both fighters have 6 of their 7 wins by stoppage, so expect fireworks to open up the card and fireworks to finish off those prelims. Taking us over to the UFC event. The UFC, still at the Apex, still in Las Vegas. It's UFC Vegas 38 Fight Night, Santos versus Walker, as we get two of the best at 205 pounds to go at it. That's number 5 ranked Thiago Santos taking on number 10 ranked Johnny Walker. Two guys kind of in a similar position, but a little bit different feel about them. Thiago Santos, 15 wins by knockout of his 21. The guy is a capoeira master who has been so much excitement each fight in the octagon, but a 3-fight skid, being sluggish, looking slow, looking like his knee injury suffered as Jon Jones completely destroyed his knee in his title fight opportunity in 2019, that he's never been the same and been out-wrestled, been trigger shy. Well, on the other side, Johnny Walker, 15 knockouts in his 18-5 record, 4-2 in the UFC, all 4 wins by knockout, has been spectacular, whether it's been win, lose, or to his detriment. This is a guy that travels around the world looking to seek out training, and coming off of the knockout of Ryan Spann, even though a torn pectoral cost him his last opportunity to fight, you still have to believe that there's more opportunity, more good feelings in the trajectory that Johnny Walker is going in, and you just think that you haven't seen Johnny Walker and that there's a higher ceiling, a bigger gap of opportunity for improvement, where Thiago Santos, we may have seen the best that he had to offer already. Can he get back there? Co-main event is at 185 pounds. Kyle Dawkins 10-2 versus the 21-7 Kevin Holland. Dawkins just 2-1 in the octagon, 8 wins by submission, basically Barboa and rear naked chokes. He's going to test the grappling of Kevin Holland, and that's exactly what the UFC wants to do. Holland, my 2020 Fighter of the Year, went 5-0 with 4 wins by knockout, but that all was for naught when he got totally out-wrestled by Derek Brunson. The UFC wants to see if the diligent work on the mat for Holland has paid dividends, if he's been able to improve that wrestling defense. We could almost pencil in right now, fight of the night, you got Alex Oliveira versus Nico Price. Oliveira, 22 wins, 17 finishes. Price, 14 wins, 13 finishes. That one, fight of the night, it's the feature fight for a reason on that main card. Misha Serkinov is going to be making his middleweight debut against Krzysztof Jotko. Serkinov, 4-0 to start his UFC career, but 2-4 since. You see the need for adjustments. He has 8 wins by submission, 5 wins by knockout. Well, Krzysztof Jotko, somebody that's been toiling right around that top 15, falling right in and out of it. A 3-fight win streak was ended by a loss to Sean Strickland. Jotko, we've seen a 5-fight win streak lead to a 3-fight skid, to a 3-fight win streak. Now he's coming off of the loss. How will the giant striking Polish fighter rebound from this one? We know he likes to keep things long, keep things technical. At 135 pounds, you have number 11, Macy, versus number 3, Aspen Ladd. Talking about the 135-pound division getting interesting. Ladd, 3 of her 4 UFC wins come by TKO. Chasson, this is going to be your biggest opportunity, coming off back-to-back decision wins. Looking at the prelims, the feature prelim, you got Jared Gordon versus Joe Selecki. Gordon couldn't make 145, ended up trying, but both fights ended up being catch weights. He's coming off decision wins over Chris Fishgold and Danny Chavez. Hopefully, the thought and the memory of the recent wins will motivate him in this fight. Well, Joe Selecki is on a 6-fight win streak. 3 of those coming in the octagon, beating names. Matt Wyman by decision, submitting Austin Hubbard, and then a decision over Jim Miller. Selecki is primed for his next fight to be on a main card, maybe even of the pay-per-view variety. If you're able to get to 7-0 at 155 pounds, or 4-0 in the octagon, but a 7-fight win streak over veteran names, and now another tough bona fide fighter. We know that 155 has historically been so deep. Joe Selecki could be entering his name into some big fights right here. In the women's flyweight division, unbeaten Casey O'Neill is going to be taking on Antonina Shevchenko, the sister of Valentina, obviously. O'Neill, a second round TKO and a third round submission in her 2 wins inside of the octagon. This is a huge step up in competition, where Shevchenko has alternated wins and losses over her last 6. But believe me, those losses come against top challengers. This is definitely going to be a step up to see if O'Neill is ready to break into that top 15. One more on the prelims to talk about. At 155 pounds, Jamie Mullarkey, 13-4, taking on Devontae Smith, 11-2. Mullarkey, his first UFC win was in his last fight. He was 0-2, but he's coming off of a TKO of Kama Worthy. Just 46 seconds, he got the job done. Well, Devontae Smith has all 3 of his UFC wins by TKO. This one is going to be explosive. Not really highlighting it, but it should also be fun. You got a pair of veterans meeting. 40-fight vet Johnny Eduardo versus the 30-fight vet Alejandro Perez at 135 pounds. There's also a couple more things to mention. Fight Pass this weekend, if you're a Fight Pass fan, Cage Warriors has a triple header. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're talking about Cage Warriors 127, 128, and 129. So London, a lot of MMA this week. Get out and watch some. You also have on UFC Fight Pass Thursday and Friday a back-to-back day of Battlefield MMA. Battlefield 68 Thursday, 69 on Friday. Friday you also have New Warriors Challenge. Saturday, Medusa, that's all female grappling, and Cage Fury FC 101. Sunday, CJJW, the middleweights, that's combat sport jiu-jitsu. And on the local scene here in New Mexico, this Saturday, October 2nd, Combat Sports Club is presenting Grapple Fest submission only at Training for Warriors Albuquerque. The pay-per-view stream will be available at combatsportsclub.com. Tickets still available there. Also 50, yes 50, that's 50 special super match grappling events. Hopefully some great commentary on that one. October 16th, Legacy Boxing Promotions, Back to Boxing. You'll have Angel Baby Aaron Pettis and Abraham the Hammer Pettis, the 2 feature fights there. October 30th, Las Cruces Convention Center. MSFT Promotions in association with School of Hard Knocks having a boxing event there. And November 20th, Marco Antonio Barrera, Daniel Ponce de Leon, 6-round exhibition. The legends in their last stand. Josh Pitbull Torres, 30-0. Abel Mendoza, Clinton Chavez, also on that card. And December 3rd, Bare Knuckle FC will be coming to the Route 66 Casino. There's a lot going on in the combat sports world. Thanks for hearing about some of it from me. Don't forget to check out the website. That's cageminds.com. Get the apparel at nmproshop.com. The YouTube is Cage Minds MMA Show. On Facebook, Cage Minds Combat Sports News. Instagram, that's CageMinds_CSN. And on Twitter, it's still the original, at Cage Minds MMA. Or attack to me on mine, at Frankel Micah. Thanks for watching.